Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Batholkus, and this is Preacher, Season 4, Episode 4, Search and Rescue, the final season of Preacher. And so far, it's okay. This episode is actually better than some of the other ones. So, yes, we did have the epic fight scene, of course, in the last episode, but this got a little bit more stuff moving along, I guess you could say. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. So let me get some business stuff out of the way first. Um, if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button down below. If you don't like what you see, you can hit the dislike button. I just ask you to go down in the comment section, tell me what it is you don't like, give me some constructive criticism about the show. Also, if you want to see when I'm on live again next, you can hit the bell down below as well. You can go into the bell settings, get as many or as little notifications as you want on that. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it, and you have a 50-50 chance of being notified by YouTube if I'm on. If you really want to see when I'll be on, take a look at my schedule on suspendedfanimation.com. I also have it up on my Facebook page as well. I also have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I also have a Patreon as well, but I don't have any tiers up as of yet. So, there we go. There's my spiel on that part. Let's get to the spoilers part of it. So, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not watched the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. I saw your comment earlier that you had an early day tomorrow. I don't blame you. Like I said, if I wasn't watching the East Coast feed on this, I probably would not be doing this show because I would not be up till, 11 o'clock trying to do a podcast. Yeah. That would be a little too much, quite honestly. So we end up starting off. We actually start off with that conversation that Hairstar and God were having about torturing Jesse, and this was something that we saw a couple episodes ago. I believe it was 2 episodes ago, and talking about making Jesse suffer, and that Hairstar wanted to carve a vagina into Jesse's head, and God thinks it's really funny, and Hairstar asks God what he wants, and God says he wants to know how Humperdew is doing, how his son is doing, and it wasn't Jesus that he was talking about. He was talking about Humperdew, and Hairstar's like, "Oh, he's doing well. I just saw him this morning," is what he says, and is pretty much lying at this point. And he goes, "Good, good." God's like, "Great." Then, and then he starts looking at Hairstar and is like, checking him out, kind of like checking out the model that you've just built, and he's kind of like turning the head and everything and looking at the top of his head with that split down it and everything, and talking about how he's going to get all his looks back, and basically he's now the all father, of course, and tells him as long as he does his part, he will earn his just reward. Then he also tells Hairstar, of course, that he's going to carve a vagina into Jesse's soul, and Hairstar's like, into his soul? Okay, this is kind of weird. Because he really didn't want to. He wanted to put card in Jesse's head, not his soul, of course. So we see the next thing is that God is aboard Jesse's plane that's going down, it's crashing, and basically kind of screaming like Slim Pickens in Dr. Strangelove. And it goes down, crashes into the water, and Jesse and the pilot are aboard a raft, and it's nighttime, and Jesse says that they're very lucky, and the pilot is just like, what the hell, man, what do you mean we're lucky? We crashed. And Jesse looks up at the sky and yells, "Is that the best you got?" And that's when you hear lightning in the background kind of crash, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna get a little bit worse. So Cassidy, in the meantime, is being wheeled through Masada. He's, on a board, like one of those hand trucks with the Hannibal Lecter mask on and all that kind of stuff. And Frankie Toscani and his guys are wheeling him down the corridor. And they have to stop for a second because the emissary from hell is coming through. It's Hitler, of course. And he goes wheeling by, and Frankie's like, "Oh my God." He goes, I should have gotten a picture with him, all that kind of stuff. And when he turns back around, all his guards are gone. And so is Cass. And he goes, he has his shotgun with him. He's looking around. He looks around the corner and he sees Cass sitting on the handcart there still. And Frankie's like, okay, so where'd they go? And Cass is like, who? And he's like, damn well who. And Cass says, well, I picked the lock with a angel's feather, broke all their necks so they couldn't scream out. And I'm going to do the same thing to you, kind of thing. I'm going to kill you too. And Frankie's like, sure. Very funny guy. And then he notices that Cass is actually free. And Cass jumps on him. They start fighting. I mean, just this epic fight in the hallway there. Cass just beats the shit out of Frankie. We see he actually has some fighting style, which we were wondering where this was all this time. I guess he was just doing it just to let Frankie's guard down for a while. Either way, Apricot, it was a shotgun. So it was a gun is what he's got. I'm not going to get into semantics about what it was. So, and he ends up beating the shit out of Frankie. Frankie's down on the ground. He ends up tearing open Frankie's pants. And Frankie's like, no, not like this. And he shoves that gun straight up Frankie's ass. And he has him sitting up and is impaling him on it and basically pushing him down on it. And Frankie's still alive at this point. And he says, yeah, he goes, the lambs are gonna, we'll scream no more, Frankie, is what he says. You'll not hear the lambs scream anymore. Silence of the Lambs, of course, because he had that Hannibal Lecter mask on, which I thought was pretty damn funny. And then it blows off the top of Frankie's head. So very quietly, actually. And we see blood coming out, and we see the aftermath of Frankie's body being propped up by the gun. So yes, just like he said he would. And then he goes to leave. He actually radios upstairs using a good American accent, saying that I'm bringing him up right now. I'm bringing the vampire up right now. So the pilot is with Jesse there, and he keeps telling Jesse that they're going to die. We're going to die, kind of thing, as the storm is just raging. And Jesse's like, "This? Have you ever been to Texas, man? We had storms a lot worse than this." And the pilot's just freaking out. And finally, he just uses the voice on him and says, "You know what? Be a bit more positive." And that's when the pilot's just, oh, this is, okay, everything's good, and he's a lot more positive about it afterwards. So Cass ends up seeing that, the doors open up to the elevator when he's getting ready to leave, and Tulip is standing there with her wig. And on the side of the elevator door, this gun points out to Cass's head, and it's Featherstone. And Featherstone asks, "Where's Tulip?" And he goes, "Where is she?" is what she says. And she goes, Jesse's like, or Cass says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she goes, "Tulip, where is she?" And he goes, "She'd be stupid to come here." And he's looking right at her. She can't, of course, see her because it's around the corner. And an entire army or platoon shows up with guns and everything. And Cass keeps saying, "Yeah, she'd be really stupid to show up here." And Featherstone agrees, "Well, she is a stupid person." And the doors close. And they end up taking Cass. When the doors reopen again and Tulip comes out, they're gone. But who's there but Hoover 2? And Hoover 2 grabs her and says, "You are now going to be the valet for one of the emissaries." And Tulip tries to talk herself out of it. She's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm gonna, I got to get back down to the prison. My boss is going to get a bit pissed off about this if I don't show up for work." And he's like, "No, this is a bit more serious than that. You got to come with us." And he takes her into this room and basically tells her, "Don't look at the emissary in the eye. Don't touch the emissary. If he touches you, you react positively," all this kind of stuff. And he leaves the room. When she looks outside the door, she sees there's guards stationed in the hallway, and there's no way she can get out of there to go find Cass. So she's back in there, and the emissary is in the shower at this point. And the emissary comes out of the shower, and it's hot Jesus at this point. And that's when Tulip looks up at him and goes, "Jesus," because, he's basically just in a towel. That's all he's draped in. And then, yeah, she can, you could hear her drool when that happened. So Cass is trying to break his chains now at this point, but he can't. He's been put back into his cell again. And he's talking up to the angel about Masada and also about Tulip. And the angel's like, "Oh, your girlfriend came. She's looking for you, all this stuff." He goes, "She's not my girlfriend. She's my best friend's girl." And he goes, "Oh, forbidden love. That's the best kind," is what the angel keeps telling him. And he's like, "Man, no, that's not the case." And he goes, the Masada are going to kill your forbidden love when she comes to find you. And, he tells the angel, he goes, "You know what? I'm going to kill you when I get out of here," is what he tells the angel. And the angel's like, "Well, that's not very nice," kind of thing. So Jesse and the pilot are out directly in the sun. I mean, they have no cover whatsoever. And the pilot's, he goes, "I'm really glad you told me not to bring any pants because I really didn't need them." And you look down at his legs and they are like 3rd-degree sunburn, just peeling and everything. And Jesse's like, "Holy shit." He's trying to cover it over. "Where's the first aid kit?" And he's looking for it. And the pilot's like, "It's not that bad. It's really not that bad." And Jesse tells him, "Stop being so positive." He uses the voice. And that's when the pilot just starts screaming in pain. And Jesse's like, he uses the voice again and tells him, "You feel no pain." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't feel any pain. Everything's really good." And we find out that his name is Steve because Jesse didn't know what his name was. He goes, "So what's your name?" And it's Steve. And Jesse's telling him that, everything they're going through is a test from God. And Steve's like, "I don't believe in God." He goes, "Well, just believe in me then. I've gotten you through this far, haven't I?" And Steve's like, all right, I'll believe in you. Sure. What not? So Tulip is talking to Jesus and he asks her what her name is. She gives him a fake name, of course. And when he shakes her hand, he tells her that she's in trouble. And just then there's a knock at the door and he asks her to go and get it. And who is it but Hair Star? And he walks right past Tulip, doesn't even recognize her. And he welcomes Jesus in and basically says, "Hey, you can go to the food court. We have all these amenities here. Feel free to take advantage of all the amenities. And we have a chapel someplace around here as well," which I thought was pretty damn funny. And then Jesus notices Hair Star's ear. And Hair Star's like, "Oh, yeah, the doctors say it's healing nicely, that everything will be fine with it." And then when he's leaving, he recognizes Tulip. He goes, "I recognize you from someplace. Where have I met you before?" And she goes, "Well, maybe the food court." He's like, "No, that's not it." And just before he's going to put 2 and 2 together, Jesus asks, he comes up and says, "Hey, when can I meet my child? I'm really interested in meeting him." And Hair Star's like, "You'll meet him soon," is what he says. And he leaves fairly quickly. And then Jesus looks at Tulip and says, "See, you are in trouble." So Hoover 2, in the meantime, is setting up the room where the emissaries are going to meet, and Hair Star, the Allfather, is going to be there. And he comes in and asks, how the search for Humperdew goes. And Hoover 2 says, it's going well. And then he asks, okay, well, how about the clone in that case? And how's that coming along? And does it look good? Will it be ready? And Hoover's like, "Yeah, everything's coming along nicely." And then Hoover 2 says, "I just wanted to offer you an observation. I just want to let you know that you're sitting pretty from where we are, and he leaves him to the presentation packet that's sitting on his desk. And as Hair Star opens up the presentation packet, his dick ear falls off and hits the page in a gooey kind of decayed mess. Yeah, it's pretty nasty looking. So Jesse ends up building a sail, and the pilot's like, Steve's like, "Where the hell did you learn that from?" And he goes, "Oh, it's from a girl that I once knew. She could build, something out of anything." And, Steve has been hanging over the edge of the raft at this point. And all Jesse wants is a little bit of wind to get that sail up and running. And when it finally starts blowing a little bit, Steve comes back into the boat, is not hanging over the edge anymore. And he's missing a hand and it's bleeding profusely because it was dangling over the edge in the water and a shark bit it off. So, pretty nasty stuff. Yeah. And he didn't feel it because Jesse told him he's not going to feel any pain. So he's putting a tourniquet on him. And, Steve is like, "Oh, no, everything's good. I don't feel anything at all. I don't feel any pain. But, that looks pretty bad. It looks like it should hurt." And just then the sail rips off and blows away. And yeah, I mean, Jesse just ends up yelling at God, telling him that, you know, it's just between them. It should be between you and me, is what he says. Leave him out of it. Save him. You shouldn't be killing him at this point. Yeah. So Tulip ends up telling Jesus the truth finally. And Jesus offers to help her, find her, help her and her friend. And she tells him, you know what? I don't think this is a turn the other cheek kind of thing. There's going to be violence and death. And Jesus says, well, um, give me a shot. He goes, well, let's see what'll happen if I help out. He goes, and she's like, all right, sure. What the hell? In the meantime, Featherstone and the troops have, locked up Cass back in the cell, and they're just waiting outside there. And one of the guys in Featherstone's group says, I really need to pee. If I knew it was going to wait this long, I would have. And Featherstone finally just gets pissed off and, stabs him with her knife, and he goes down. And he goes, that's okay. I went in my pants. Which I don't know why. It was kind of funny. And Jesus at that time ends up walking into the dungeon, and Featherstone and the troops meet him, and she's like, Jesus, what are you doing down here? And he goes, oh, I wanted to come down and bless the prisoners. And she's like, well, we don't have any prisoners. It's really just for training. And that's when you hear Cass yelling at the angel to shut the fuck up, kind of thing. And he starts to walk forward. He goes, basically he says a biblical line, and he goes to walk forward, and she puts up her hand on him and says, nope, I don't think it's going to happen, Jesus. And Jesus comes back to Tulip to tell her that, nope, it didn't work. Sorry, I tried. And he's got a big bloody handprint from the guy that she stabbed on his chest. And this, of course, enrages Tulip, and Tulip's like, fuck this, I'm going to take care of matters in my own hand. And she takes off, and Jesus follows her. So Cass ends up getting his hands out of his cuff by denuding his hands, which is stripping the skin off of his hands like a glove by pulling them just straight through the cuffs. Some pretty nasty stuff. And then he climbs up the tower, the inside of the tower there where the angel's hanging, jumps onto the angel and rips into him and just starts, drinking his blood, and shreds him a bit too. And then he drops to the ground back to the bottom of the cell. And who walks into the cell because he's now been regenerated, but the angel. And the angel's kind of like, well, that was kind of rude. And he grabs Cass, and then they fly up and out. So Steve, in the meantime, is dying. Steve, the pilot, and he wishes he did more, is what he says. I wish I had more sex with, strangers. And, he'd been married 4 times, 3 of them for money and all that stuff. And, then he starts begging Jesse to save him since Jesse is God. And Jesse's like, I'm not God. And he tries using the voice to force Steve to live. He goes, stay alive. And, of course, Steve ends up dying. So Tulip ends up going to the dungeon with Jesus, and Jesus is saying to her, it's a trap. Featherstone's waiting for you along with the troops, and you're going to get killed. And then he says, wait, stop. Kneel before me, worship me, is what he says. And she's like, what? He goes, kneel down before me. And so she kneels before him, and Featherstone, the troops are coming by, and they stop and all kneel. And Featherstone gets pissed off, and she's like, you know what? Some of us have to work. Come on, get up. Let's get going. And passes right by. And so Tulip finds out that Cass has escaped. And Tulip and Jesus see the aftermath of that, with the angel hanging from his chain but kind of disemboweled. And Jesus is like, well, what now? She goes, well, Cass is probably someplace, probably half wasted. And she goes, I'm basically going to find him. And he goes, and then what? And then I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, is what she says. And Jesus says, can I come with you? Yeah. So Jesse ends up giving Steve a burial at sea. He wraps him up and tosses him over the raft there. And he starts saying a few words. And he's actually doing a eulogy, not a eulogy, but he's, giving a sermon, if you will, about death and all this stuff. And in the middle of it, these sharks just start eating the body. I mean, just start going to it. And he looks up at God and he goes, God, you're a fucking asshole, is what he says. And then he hears children kind of playing and stuff like that. And he turns around behind him and he's right by the beach. He's right by the Australian beach. So they were right there the entire time. And yes, God is an asshole at this point because of what he did. Hitler, in the meantime, has paid off Hoover 2 to walk into this room where Humperdew is in a piano. And Hitler introduced himself and says, he goes, hi, my lord. I heard you're an excellent dancer. I heard you had some skills. And he starts playing the piano to get Humperdew to dance. And in the meantime, the Santa Killers and Eugene are standing on the beach at the Gulf of Mexico. And the Santa Killer's like, he's that way. And Eugene's like, I can't swim. How are we going to get there? So the Santa Killers blows on the gun, basically on the hammer part of the gun, until it gets red hot and shoots down at the ground. And it digs all the way through the earth to Australia, pops out, and they literally go through the earth to the Australian beach. The Santa Killers kills a guy that's on the beach that asks them, he goes, did you just come through the center of the earth? Kills them, and then ends up they're right next to the raft that Jesse was on. So they're pretty much right on his tail now at this point. And that's where we leave off on the episode. So a lot of stuff happened. It moved along pretty quickly. And like I said, not the worst episode. This is one of the better episodes that we had going on. Yeah. But is it Humperdew or a clone? Pretty sure it's a clone. We don't know, Penn. Well, Penn, actually, we do know that it's not a clone because if they had the piano there, and remember, the guys that were the Masada agents that were looking for Humperdew were using music to find out if it was the Humperdew, because Humperdew was the only one that could dance to that music, that was trained to dance. And so they were using the music to see if he would dance to it. So I'm pretty sure that's the real Humperdew. Did you see the coming attractions for next week? I did, Penn. I don't talk about the next coming attractions, though, so I don't want to ruin it for anybody. Also, I don't want to speculate either on that, I should say. Didn't Star and Hoover 2 say that they still hadn't found the real one? They didn't think they did, Apple Crow, but I have a feeling that Hoover 2 has been keeping things from Hair Star because he's been a little too much of a sycophant, but at the same time, looks like a devilish little bastard. As he was saying, I'm your confidant, is what he was telling. Hoover 2 was telling Hair Star that I'm your confidant. You could say anything to me. So, yeah. Yes, Robert. Australia is known for sharks and near the beach, too. Yes. It really does pay to have Jesus on your side. That's pretty funny. Finally, Jesse uses the voice for something other than mind control. I mean, he sent Arseface to hell in season 1 with it. Yeah. Never mind. Now I do remember we had the angels duplicating season 1. Yeah, there was that whole episode of them killing each other in the motel room. And they kept regenerating and coming back and killing each other and regenerating and coming back, which was pretty damn funny. So, yeah. Yes. And yeah, I wonder what the angel blood's going to do to Cass, if anything, if it's just going to make him, normal blood. I'm wondering what they're going to do with this angel since it's very different from the one they had in the comics. Apple Crow says, yeah, I don't know either, to tell you the truth. So, yeah. Where's Humperdew? Like, where's Waldo? Yes. All right. Let's see what else I had here. Somebody else had asked a question, and I was in the middle of talking, so I didn't answer. The handprint was wrong, but funny. Yeah, it is. I kind of feel like he'd still notice a shark. Maybe not. If he didn't feel anything, if he wasn't feeling any pain, then shark's just gonna rip right through that thing. The ear thing was disgusting. I have to admit that was pretty disgusting, but also funny in a weird way as well. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. I went through everybody who's there. Yeah, so like I said, not a bad episode. It was pretty good. It needs to ramp things up, quite honestly. It needs to ramp the insanity level up just a little bit more, especially since we're in the final season. Well, yeah, final season. We're coming up on final episodes, all that stuff. And I can't remember, was it 4 or 10 episodes on this? I think it's only 10 episodes, right? And if it's 10 episodes and we're on episode 4, then they need to really start ramping some things up quite a bit. And if it's 8 episodes, they really need to start, ramping stuff up. Yeah. Because they don't have much time. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that, it ends well, shall I say. And it's still better than season 2. Season 2 was just, God, that was horrible. Yeah. Were they canceled before they finished filming this season? Yeah, I believe they were Apple Crow. I think they ended up saying that they were just getting this final season. They knew it was the final season. Well, so Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's production company, they were cutting ties with the representation at the time, and basically anything that had to do with that representation, any ties, and that was AMC was one of them, and this show. So that's why Future Man is gone, which is something that they were also working on. Future Man has its last season on Hulu. Preacher is gone. Happy's gone. What else were they working on? I think that was it. So basically, all their shows that they've been working on before they started up with their new representation end up ending. Yeah. So that's, yeah, that kind of sucked. But after seeing what happened with Happy, them ending it the way they did, and, hopefully Future Man goes out well as well. I mean, they started the way they left the season 2 cliffhanger, the season 2 ending. They need to do something big on that one. And hopefully they don't, hey, Ejar. I'm actually just wrapping things up too, Ejar. So, yeah. So if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also, if you're still on the fence about joining up, take a look. You're going to see a video up here that's actually going to take a video from my vast video library based on all the algorithms of everything you've been watching, and it's going to post it right up there for you. Also up here is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. That's what's going to be up there. So take a look at those things and see if you like it, then subscribe. I'm also, if you want to see when I'm on live again next, you can hit the bell down below. If you already hit the bell, don't hit it again. You can go into the bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want. Also, if you want to see what my schedule is, you can go on suspendedfanimation.com. You'll see the schedule up there. It's also mirrored on my Facebook page. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I also have a Patreon page, but I don't have any tiers up as of yet. There we go. So not, like I said, not a bad episode. And I think I'll keep this one a little shorter this time around just because so many people are on the East Coast and it's late for you guys out there. It's not late for me because it's not even 9 yet on my time. So with that said, thank you everybody who joined me in the chat tonight. Mr. Roboto, Ejar, Apple Crow, Pen Farm Girl, Robert M. And I saw that a couple other by Viking Bitch came in too a little bit earlier. And any of you other lurkers that are out there as well. So it's 10:45 and it's still 90 degrees outside. Well, that's what you get for living in Texas, Apple Crow. You might have seen the Santa Killers like pass through your town too on the way to the Gulf of Mexico, because he was in that area. Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. Thank you, everybody who joined me here in the chat. Thank you if you made it through this far in the video. And I will see you tomorrow, where I'm going to pick the winner for the Legion buttons. The winners, I should say. There's 2 different Legion buttons. And if you haven't left a comment, go back to the Legion video for the last episode of Legion and post a comment down below the comment section to be entered. That is if you're a U.S. resident. International residents, unfortunately, I can't afford the shipping costs on that. It's just too damn expensive. Would the clones have the clone memory to dance? No, they don't. They've already established that. That was they already said that was the reason how they told the clones apart, was that Humperdew is the only one that could dance. All the rest of the clones could not. So, thank you, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for the picking of the winners of the Legion buttons. And then what is it? Wednesday, I'm going to try and do Woo Assassins the first half of the season. Thursday, I'm going to take off. I'm actually going to do the boys on Friday. Saturday is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. And again, Sunday is going to be Preacher. So, with that, I will see you tomorrow. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may get your hand taken off by a shark and not even feel it because someone told you not to feel any pain using the voice. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Stay cool. Or try to.